It's time now for another episode of Pats from the Past podcast. Matt Smith and Paul Perillo, joined by the newest member of the Patriots Hall of Fame, Mike Vrabel. And boy, for two people, I know you think we're going to be BSing you, but we were on the table, Mike, pounding every single year. Get Vrabel in, get Vrabel in. Finally, you're in. What was the experience like for you yesterday, Mike?
Well, it was amazing. Just to come up and the reception that we received, my family received, that I received from first of all, the fans that were here in the rain. And again, I know that I wish that we could have had the fans, but we didn't. I think it was an intimate reception. Just a lot of emotion. I don't think I've given myself a chance to just to go back and reflect on that, on the 8 years here and the success and the teammates. And I think that was probably the coolest thing, was to see them and see Dante and be able to, just catch up and, just see how excited everybody is for you.
Can we go back to the start of that 8 years and, sort of run us through your free agent visit here? We've heard a lot of stories about how it's not overly glamorous when
Rodney
you come
uses
in.
the ground round line, that they wined and dined him at the ground round. I don't know if you were a
Well,
ground round
I was
guy.
with Anthony Pleasant, and so we probably got a little nicer experience. I think we actually went to the Capitol Grill in Chestnut Hill. And
Excuse us.
yeah, so because I think Bill had history with Anthony Pleasant, so he was probably like, well, let me take Anthony for a nice meal. And but it was just, visit at the stadium, an old Foxboro stadium. And, again, these aren't recruiting trips. These are trips to make sure that, this is the player that we want to target, and the player can ask questions and get information and then make a decision. And so didn't have a whole lot of options, and this one was certainly, the best one for me.
You said yesterday during your speech that it was important for you to start. In 4 years you did a lot, but you wanted to start. Did you get a sense maybe on that visit or early on, Mike, that these guys had a good idea of how to use you?
Well, I can remember having a conversation with Bill and him saying, hey, really all we need is what you did in that preseason game last year against Miami. And I'm thinking, I don't even remember playing Miami in the preseason. But Bill had gone back and he had watched, and there were clips that he must have seen that there was a vision for, probably an extended play time at that point in time in the preseason or whenever it was. And so then I started thinking, okay, well, at least they have an idea of how they want to use me or what I may be able to do there. Bill had talked about the opportunity, not guaranteeing anything, but saying that there would be a spot available pretty much at outside linebacker where they would have some other players to compete with, and then see where things were.
When you look at the way your years unfolded, it's almost like it was a perfect system for you. I mean, did you catch that right away? Like, they really want to use me exactly to,
I don't think
skill
I
set?
wasn't being misused in Pittsburgh. I had just transitioned from a couple different positions, was rotating in and was getting some playing time 3 and 4 years in, special teams, some third down packages, whatever that may be. But this was a new opportunity. Some carryover from Pittsburgh, some different. And then as things progressed and it was, learn this position, actually, I think I played 2 seasons inside linebacker or a season and a half at some point in time, and find myself at different spots.
I've heard this from many ex-players, guys who you played with and everything like that. Were you able to get away with more as far as like maybe busting Bill's balls?
Well, I don't know. I think the timing was always critical.
Or?
No, I don't think it's overrated. I think that there is, like I said yesterday, I think I said things that everybody wanted to say. And I probably was just dumb enough to say them. I sometimes say the quiet part out loud sometimes, unfortunately. But it's all timing. And sometimes, it's a turd in a punch bowl and doesn't always work, but sometimes it works out pretty good. But that takes a little bit of time, and it takes, again, you have to be willing to take it if you want to give it. And I think that Bill always was very conscious of that, whether that's players to Bill or Bill to us. He knew that, we had to sit there and take it when we got the low lights, and, we'd be on the balustrader and it would be like, what we can't do. And So it was a good situation. We had a bunch of really good teammates that all kind of rallied behind that.
Do you think maybe, I mean, you were able to back it up with your play though, Mike. I don't know if that's a 53rd or 54th guy that was trying to crack wise. It might be different.
Well,
you were a core guy on all three phases of the game.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's what makes a locker room is just different personalities. Again, you have to perform on the field, and then whatever your personality is, I think there was no restrictions on, hey, we just want a bunch of robots. I think that was the impression that everybody had, and we certainly weren't that.
Well, the best thing about Mike, and I told you this a million times, Mike didn't care who he was busting on. Professional. I used to call you a professional ball buster.
Okay.
That's what you were. I'd come in with like a TV shirt on one day, and he'd go, look at this fraud. He's got TV tonight. It didn't matter. He treated all of us the same, and I think that's probably permeated the locker room and garnered respect in that way.
Well, again, I think the fact that if you have a relationship with somebody, I think that's when you kind of go back and forth with them. It's like having a nickname. If you don't have a nickname, there's no such thing as a bad nickname. Just be appreciative that you have a nickname. That means that they know who you are and that you're kind of a part of the group. And if you don't have a nickname, you better try to figure out why. And so it was, whether it was a relationship with the media, it was a two-way street, assistant coaches and certainly teammates.
Much has been made. You played in a different era, believe it or not, where, and as during your career, the league was starting to legislate against defenses, hard hitting and everything like that. When you look back at the Warner play, Ty's interception, I thought it was very generous of Ty to give you credit yesterday too. Are you going to get flagged for that if that play happens today, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think that what we've talked about is matching the hand, and they've changed here in the last year or two about what's forcible. I don't know. You know what I mean? I should have gotten there sooner, to be honest with you. They didn't block me. It was just a lucky play, and Ty did all the work. But whether it's, as long as it's not forcible, we've talked about matching the hand, and same thing that they teach here, and where everybody else is trying to teach. And didn't hit the football. I'm glad that I didn't, so that Ty was able to catch it and score.
Can we ask you a little bit about tight end too, and
Sure.
just sort of how that transition? How did it come about? Whose idea was it?
I think Drew put it best yesterday. I had a bunch of energy, and I'd show up 3 hours before the game and go out on the field, and Drew would be out warming up, and I would start running routes, and he'd say, well, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, run this, different routes, and I'd run them on the right, and we'd flip around and run them on the left, and then I'd go inside and wait for the game. And he must have had a conversation, or Charlie was outside and said, hey, this guy could probably do this. And we had it in. We used it finally in the Chargers game in San Diego, scored. We lost the game, so it did not get much attention. And then kind of snowballed from there. Whether we had 2 tight ends active or 3, sometimes that third tight end was never very happy when we got down to the goal line. And, so those tight ends probably hated the fact that I would go in there at times.
Drew never got a chance to do that on the field. Tom came in. Mike, was there a time that you can think of, we remember, like you guys, the defense carried that team in 01 for sure, no doubt about it, no disgrace. But do you remember a time you said, you know what, this kid might have something? Not, obviously, nobody saw where he was going to wind up. But do you remember a time where you said, you know what, this kid might have something?
I don't, specifically. It's just hard for me to think back. The 2-minute drive in the Super Bowl, and I just, it's just hard for me. I just remember his leadership, his competitiveness. That's what I enjoyed at practice. In the building, his work ethic, I would always see it. I mean, this guy was, he was powerlifting in the weight room. It wasn't, the pliability that we saw later on. I mean, this guy was in there working and trying to train and get stronger. And he knew that he needed to develop, and he needed to be a stronger player. That's what I recognized. I said, man, this guy's in here squatting and power cleaning, and he's training differently than I think most quarterbacks in the NFL would be at that time.
When you had that streak, the winning 3 out of 4, I mean, obviously, winning back-to-back hasn't been done since. Do you look back at that and appreciate just how special it was, and what does it mean to you to be part of those teams?
Well, I think that I don't look back enough. I don't, but we expected to win. You know, I mean, we did. We had a feeling about us that when each week it was like, okay, what's the game plan going to be, and how are we going to win? And we expected to win, and that is that's a powerful mindset to be in. Now we didn't win every game, but rarely did we. Were we out of a game, or did we think that we weren't going to be able to compete in each game?
Really quick, when you talk about we expected to win, I want to ask you about 07 too, and just that mindset. Did you feel like maybe you lost some of the enjoyment because you guys were so good and expected to win?
No, I never lost the enjoyment. I just don't know if we continue to improve, and that was the thing that I'll try to explain, and I always try to explain, is that the Giants improved. They were a wild card team, and they gave us everything that we had at the end of the season. And then they went on their playoff run, and we never improved. We were good. We were really good. We just never improved probably as the year went on.
Last one here as we'll wrap things up. You said you don't have time to really look back, and you don't, because you're always on to the next practice, the next game, and everything like that. Do you get a sense, and I think you'll get a little bit better sense maybe at halftime today, do you get a sense how much this region has embraced you, Mike? Even though the fact you come in here and you've kicked their ass a couple times, but they do. And I think even while you're with the opposition, they remember you for those 8 years here.
I'm going to probably realize that today, but I don't think I did. I haven't been back. I mean, honestly, I said that yesterday. 2009, you get a call being traded to the Chiefs, and I've been back. This is, I think, maybe my 5th time. So just have not been back to this stadium, to this. Just had a different path after I left here, and I am excited. Just the people that I've already seen from yesterday and today, and it's just the people that work here that come up and have already said hello and congratulations, and so I'm very appreciative of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate it.